Guys, I would love to show you the video of the altercation on the sideline between Shedeur Sanders and Jerry Jeudy. I call it an altercation. It was an argument, a heated conversation, whatever the word you want to use to describe it is. We can't show the video, but I did transcribe the quote Shedeur Sanders gave when asked about it in his post-game press conference. This is what Shedeur had to say about the altercation he had with Jerry Jeudy. Quote,
"The NFL world just exploded. What should have been a normal Sunday sideline moment between Shedeur Sanders and Jerry Jeudy just turned into a full-blown ownership crisis in Cleveland. Behind closed doors, Browns owner Jimmy Haslam is reportedly furious with head coach Kevin Stefanski for letting this situation spiral out of control. We're talking about a veteran receiver publicly attacking a rookie quarterback who's already carrying the weight of an entire franchise on his shoulders. And where's the kicker? While everyone's pointing fingers at Shedeur, the real story is about accountability, leadership, and why Jerry Jeudy might have just crossed a line he can't come back from. Stick around because what I'm about to break down will change how you see this entire situation."
Thing. I did a blog that said, "Hey man, Jerry Jeudy, you tripping." Let me tell you why. Take Shedeur Sanders out the game. Take his name out the mix, because like you said, when you take Shedeur Sanders' name and you put it in here, then people gonna pick sides. But here's my problem: what Jerry Jeudy did. I don't have a problem per se guys arguing on the sideline. It happens all the time. Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, they gonna get into it, right? You know what I'm saying? That's just the heat of the battle. I've seen coaches go after each other, coaches versus players. So that's part of the game. The problem I got with Jerry Jeudy is, Jason, you've had 3 quarterbacks. There was a game against the Bengals where Joe Flacco hit you right in the hands on a 4th down play in the red zone that would have put the game on ice. You dropped it. There was another pass he threw in the same game. It bounced off your hands and it was interception. There was 5 to 6 times we said when he threw Dylan Gabriel, the balls that he threw that were accurate, that he actually put on the money, it went through Jerry Jeudy's hands. There were times where you point with other quarterbacks, why you stopped running on that route? You stopped running on a route last week. And then the problem I got is this. You just had one of the biggest blunders last week.
Look, I'm not going to sugarcoat this for you. What went down on that Browns sideline wasn't just some heated moment between teammates. This was a veteran receiver, someone who's supposed to lead by example, going nuclear on a rookie quarterback who's been thrown into one of the most toxic situations in the NFL. And the worst part? Jerry Jeudy doesn't have the receipts to
drop. You lead the league in dropping the football, Jerry Jeudy.
Be acting like this. Let me paint you the picture. The Browns are struggling. Again. Shedeur Sanders comes in as the new guy, trying to learn a system, build chemistry, and somehow salvage what's left of Cleveland's dumpster fire of a season. Then you've got Jerry Jeudy, a guy who's supposed to be the #1 receiver, screaming at him on the sideline, like Shedeur's the reason they're losing games. But here's what nobody's talking about. Here's what the mainstream media conveniently forgot to mention when they were busy roasting this sideline argument on every single talk show. Jerry Jeudy has been having one of the worst seasons of his career. I'm talking about drops, fumbles, mental mistakes, and straight-up disappearing acts in crucial moments. So when he starts pointing fingers at the quarterback, yeah, that's when people started asking questions. Now let's talk about what Shedeur actually said after the game, because this is where it gets interesting. When reporters asked him about the heated exchange with Jeudy, Shedeur could have thrown him under the bus. He could have called him out. He could have made this a whole media circus. But you know what he did instead? He took the high road. Shedeur said, and I quote, "This team is not going to be a microwave thing. We're going to have sparks here and there, but it's going to take time to be able to develop that chemistry with everybody to be on the same page with Jerry. Of course, you want to be able to get him the ball, but you got to understand, it takes time. I'm more of a trust person, and that's just what it boils down to." Read that again. I'm more of a trust person. That's leadership right there. Shedeur saying, look, I need to build trust with these guys. I need time to understand where they're going to be on the field. And he's right.
You just had one of the biggest blunders last week. I gave you a pass. I said, maybe you just had a bad day when you was talking to the media saying one-word answers. I said, maybe something going on in this family. I gave you, I ain't gonna kill you on it. I said, hey, get Jerry Jeudy involved. But then you catch the ball and you get ripped last week, right? Like doing some weird stuff. Mm-hmm. So my thing is, Bull, if you done had 3 different quarterbacks and all 3 of them done had issues where you have not been playing well, even if you do believe you're in the right there, you don't really have no room.
So now fast forward to this past Sunday. Shedeur Sanders is out there trying to navigate a broken offense, trying to figure out who he can trust, trying to get the ball to his playmakers, and Jerry Jeudy, the same guy who's dropped crucial passes, fumbled away possessions, and been inconsistent all year, is the one screaming at him? That's backwards. That's completely backwards. And apparently, Jimmy Haslam feels the same way. Word around the league is that the Browns owner was absolutely livid when he saw that sideline exchange. Not just because it looked bad on TV, which it did, but because of the bigger picture. Because this is a pattern with Jerry Jeudy, and it's a pattern that Kevin Stefanski has failed to address. Think about it from Haslam's perspective. You're paying Jerry Jeudy big money. You brought him in to be a leader, to be a safety valve for your young quarterback, to be the guy who elevates everyone around him. Instead, he's out here creating drama, underperforming, and now publicly berating the rookie QB you just invested a high draft pick in. That's not leadership. That's toxicity. And here's the thing that really grinds my gears about this whole situation. The double standard. Because if Jerry Jeudy was Justin Jefferson, if he was Tyreek Hill, if he was an all-pro receiver who'd earned the right to demand excellence from his quarterback, then yeah, maybe we'd be applauding him for holding people accountable. Maybe we'd be saying, that's what leaders do. They don't accept mediocrity. But Jerry Jeudy is not that guy. Not this season. He hasn't earned that respect. He hasn't put in the work to be standing on a moral high ground, pointing fingers at anybody, especially not a rookie QB who's dealing with way more pressure than Jeudy ever has.
Video, but I did transcribe the quote Shedeur Sanders gave when asked about it in his post-game press conference. This is what Shedeur had to say about the altercation he had with Jerry Jeudy. Quote, "This team is not going to be a microwave thing. We're going to have sparks here and there, but it's going to take time to be able to develop that chemistry with everybody, to be on the same page with Jerry. Of course you want to be able to get him the ball, but you got to understand it takes time. I'm more of a trust person, and that's just what it boils down to. So we have to spend time on..."
Let me ask you this. When Jerry Jeudy fumbled last week, did Shedeur go off on him? No. When Jerry Jeudy dropped passes earlier in the season with Joe Flacco, did Flacco scream at him on the sideline? No. Quarterbacks don't do that. Because a quarterback's job, and this is something Shedeur clearly understands, is to take all the blame and shield his teammates from criticism. That's what leadership looks like. And it's exactly what Shedeur did in his post-game presser. He could have buried Jeudy. He could have said, yeah, he was out of line. I'm doing my job and he needs to focus on his. But instead, Shedeur talked about building trust, developing chemistry, and giving things time. That's maturity beyond his years. Now, do guys argue on the sideline sometimes? Absolutely. It happens in every NFL game. Tom Brady used to go off on his receivers all the time. Peyton Manning and Jeff Saturday got into screaming matches. Aaron Rodgers has thrown tablets and yelled at his offensive line. It's football. Emotions run high. Tempers flare. That's part of the game. But there's a difference between a competitive argument and what happened with Jerry Jeudy.
On task with all those guys and be able to trust and be able to see things at the same lens. A lot of time out there, I would say passing-wise, we're not seeing everything at the same, or certain guys aren't in the same spot that we've seen and we practice. Like, we just have to be comfortable and just make everything consistent. So he said it's a trust thing.
Yeah.
But what do you make of this?
I mean, guys yell at each other on the sideline sometimes. I got no problem. I thought, you know, listen, everything with Shedeur is polarized one way or the other.
Yeah.
It's really annoying for the few of us who are trying to be fair about it.
Here's what makes this even more interesting. Jerry Jeudy had a chance to make this right. After last week's fumble, he could have stood up in front of the media and said, "That was on me. I made a boneheaded play. I let my team down. I need to be better." That's all it would have taken. A little accountability, a little humility. But he didn't do that. Instead, he defended the play, saying he was just trying to make something happen. No ownership, no responsibility. And then a week later, he's the one barking at the quarterback? Come on, man. Look, I'm not saying Jerry Jeudy is a bad person. I'm not saying he's a cancer in the locker room or that the Browns need to cut him tomorrow. What I am saying is that if you're going to call people out, if you're going to demand perfection from your teammates, then you better be damn sure your own house is in order first. And right now, Jerry Jeudy's house is a mess. Meanwhile, Shedeur Sanders is out here handling business like a seasoned pro. He's taking responsibility, he's staying positive, he's talking about building chemistry and earning trust. And you know what? That's exactly the kind of quarterback you want leading your franchise. Because here's the reality. The Browns are rebuilding. Again. They've got a young quarterback trying to figure things out. They've got a coaching staff on the hot seat. They've got an owner who's running out of patience. The last thing they need is veteran players creating unnecessary drama and pointing fingers instead of looking in the mirror. And that's why this situation is so much bigger than just a sideline argument. This is about culture. This is about accountability. This is about whether the Browns are going to continue being the same dysfunctional mess they've been for years, or whether they're finally going to build something sustainable around a quarterback who actually gets it.
He's the enemy. And I was like, well, I just thought football players sometimes yell at each other on the sidelines. I'm not going to kill Jerry Jeudy. I don't know what happened. I don't know the whole story.
I think
you got a beef with him yelling at Shedeur?
I think you better make sure your own house is in order. And Jerry Jeudy's had a horrendous year.
Yeah.
So I think it's a bad look for him to be coming down on a rookie quarterback when he's been a big reason why the Browns are where they are with some of the drops that he's had. But, yeah, guys are going to argue. I mean,
Shedeur Sanders gets it. He understands that you can't microwave success in the NFL. He understands that chemistry takes time. He understands that trust has to be earned on both sides. And most importantly, he understands that when things go wrong, you don't throw your teammates under the bus. You take the high road, you keep working, and you let your play do the talking. Jerry Jeudy, he's still learning those lessons. And at this point in his career, that's a problem. So where do the Browns go from here? Well, if I'm Kevin Stefanski, I'm having a serious conversation with Jerry Jeudy behind closed doors. I'm reminding him that accountability worked both ways. I'm making it clear that if he wants to hold his teammates to a high standard, he needs to meet that standard himself first. And if I'm Jimmy Haslam, I'm watching this situation very closely. Because if your veteran players are more interested in pointing fingers than winning games, you've got a culture problem. And culture problems don't fix themselves. But here's the twist that I think a lot of people are missing. This might actually be the best thing that could have happened to Shedeur Sanders. Why? Because now he knows exactly who he can trust and who he can't. Now he knows which receivers are going to have his back when things get tough and which ones are going to turn on him the second something goes wrong. That's valuable information for a rookie quarterback. And based on how Shedeur handled this situation, with grace, maturity, and professionalism, I'd say he's already ahead of the game. So yeah, Jerry Jeudy was out of pocket. Yeah, Jimmy Haslam has every right to be upset with how this was handled. And yeah, Kevin Stefanski needs to get his locker room under control before this thing spirals even further. But at the end of the day, the person who came out of this looking the best, that's Shedeur Sanders. And if the Browns are smart, they'll build around him and move on from the players who don't want to be part of the solution. So here's what I want to know. Was Jerry Jeudy completely out of line, or do veteran receivers have the right to get in their quarterback's face when they're frustrated? And more importantly, do you think the Browns made the right call bringing in Shedeur Sanders, or is this just another disaster waiting to happen in Cleveland? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's talk about it. And if you made it this far, you're part of the real ones. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications because we're covering every single twist and turn of this Browns drama all season long. Trust me, this story is far from over.